What's good, everybody? You know what sucks is every intro I go, I should stop saying, hey, what's good, everybody, and just say something like not so stupid. And I am now 0 for 43 Shane Says episodes, pulling that off. But so this is another Shane Says episode with me and Brandon. At some point, I'm going to go away, and this is going to be a Brandon night. Brandon and someone else. But as long as I'm in here doing them, I'm just going to attach it to Shane Says. So I at least got an episode in this week. So what's up, Brandon? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. It feels like every week we just keep losing somebody. So at some point, like, is next week going to be a solo episode?
Oh, man, we did start with
we started with 4, and then we had 3 last week. And now it's just the 2 of us.
It's like Final Destination. We're the last survivors. So
well,
look, people, I guess, have plans and lives and things to do on a Saturday night. I don't. I had taco night with the kids. Just got my ass kicked in Madden, and now we're doing this. Nope. Fantasy God said he's nope. Good evening, good people. Fantasy God, I've hooked up with Shane's ex. I feel for you, buddy. I really do. So anyway, so we're gonna do a mailbag episode tonight. We got a bunch of questions from our patrons. Got a couple on Twitter. If you have questions, obviously we'll hit those too. We're starring some of them. Good evening, good people. Nate Burst, what up? Yo, anyone says yo, I gotta put up there, right? LFG, are we far enough into this that I can curse without getting us demonetized? No. LFG. And shout out to J Rich. Vapad says the thumbnail is fire. Unstarred. So appreciate you. Let's go ahead and hit a question though. Boom. From Zafria. Okay. Zafria, 14 teams, start 10, Superflex, half point PPR, half point tight end premium, May, Penix, Bijan, Hendo, Charbs. JSN, Rice, Olave, Pittman, Kirk, McBride. He was offered a Dunze, Kamara, Brooks for Hendo and a 27-second. Feels like it's a good idea. He's worried about Olave and Kamara. But this deal doesn't involve either of those players. So that is not germane to the conversation for me. But what are your thoughts, my dude?
Well, I'm assuming that's Jonathan Brooks.
So it's got to be.
So, like, his dynasty value is what?
Like, no, it's not. It does not.
It's like $1 fab, maybe, just to clear the roster space.
Yeah, it's all over with.
So it's a Dunze and Kamara for Hendo and a 27-second. So what's that, like? You know, a late mid first for a Dunze and a 27-second for Kamara. It's probably pretty fair.
It's fair.
I don't like it. I mean. Start 10, 14 teamer. So you're 10. So you're probably what? Like 1 QB, 2 running backs, maybe 2 wide receivers, a couple flex.
Sure. I mean, at some point there's at least 3 flex, probably, right? It's 2 wide. Yeah, like you said, quarterback, super flex, tight end, 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and two flex if it's 10.
And it's probably line up. So you just got like a pick your flavor each week of JSN, Rashee Rice, Chris Olave, Michael Pittman, Roma Dunze. I don't love the deal personally. I want the Hendo. I kind of want the Hendo side because I feel like if Henderson takes off, you could probably get more, and you got the liquid asset of the 27-second. Whereas with Dunze and Kamara, I just tried to put them together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like Dunze is like one of those guys where it's like either he's breaking out, like there's a crew that's like he's breaking out, or there's a crew that's like, you know, he's gonna be in the shuffle of Luther Bird and DJ Bauer, Roma Dunze, Costa Lovely, Cole Kmet, yada yada yada.
Yeah, So I talk about this sometimes, right? And we'll get DMs in the Discord, or I'll get DMs in Twitter that I'm not responding to anymore. But DMs in the Discord, if you're not a member of the DD community, check the description. There's a link in there for half off for the first month. Just try it for the first month. It's like crack. I promise you'll be hooked. Next thing you know, you'll be selling your home to pay for it. But I often say, like, a trade is fair, but that doesn't mean that you need to take it. Right? Because it doesn't really fit what I want to do. Like, just because the value is right, it doesn't mean that it's a deal that you have to do. I personally am a little lower on a Doomsday than consensus. I just felt like saying that because I've heard a lot of podcasts, big names.
It's a fun word to use.
They say it a lot. I'm either above or below consensus. I don't like a Doomsday as much as other people. I'm gonna say it like that. I like Hendo a lot. Brooks is absolutely worthless. Just straight up, Hendo's going at 103 or 104 in drafts, right? Just look at it from that perspective. Would you pay the 103 or the 104 to get a Doomsday? Just taking the name away?
Not straight up, no.
No. So then it's a 27-second for Kamara, which is fair. I will say that that's fair. Brooks literally holds no value to me. He matters not at all to me in this deal, not even one little bit. I did trade for him in a league, mostly as a joke in a best ball league, and that's it. So I'm not making the deal. I think I'll hold on to Hendo and the 27-second. That's where I'm at. Brandon agrees.
Would the deal change if it's a 27 first?
Absolutely.
Like
27 first is a whole other banana.
Right. And that's kind of like I'm looking at. I'm like 27, like it's like even right now, but if you tilt it just a little bit to the first, you're like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. And you know what? Like Jay said, right? The value does seem fair, but a Doomsday is so touch and go. The Doomsday, I hate talking about shit that other people have talked about. We're far enough. We're not demonetized. I hate talking about stuff that people keep talking about, but a Doomsday is so in the consciousness. Like people are just staking claims right now. I said after last year that, I was cautiously not optimistic, pessimistic. There you go. So I have been trying to move off of them. Yeah, like JJ was talking about him. And then other people, I think, like Guppies followed in his wake and started rapping about him too. But yeah, I if I can cash out on a Doomsday, I am. If I can get Hendo for him, for example, straight up, I absolutely would. All right, so I'm going to hide that comment. Thanks for the question. Whoever's question that was, Zafria. Thank you very much. Here's a fun one, and then we'll get to the patrons. But Vapehead's also a patron of the DD fantasy community, and there's going to be a heavy theme tonight. Mostly those folks getting their questions answered. Vapehead, what's your process for recruiting for a startup? Or is it easy to fill a league as the infamous Shane and Brandon? Okay, I'll hit this first. I have a few more Twitter followers than Brandon. I also do more content, more front-facing content. So obviously people would know me more. That doesn't make me better or not better than Brandon. The fact that I'm not a redhead like him makes me better. I don't have problems filling leagues. I don't. Like if I want to start a startup, I usually am turning down startups. You know what I mean? Like I get a lot of invites to leagues and I turn them down for the most part. Not because I don't appreciate it, because I absolutely do, but mostly because I can't play in 150 leagues. So it's really not hard for me to recruit. Even when we have an orphan in leagues that I'm in with not a lot of DD people, I've started to just turn to our orphans channel, which, there's a ton of people in the DD community. So even if they don't know me that well, a lot of people are looking for leagues. So more of a branding question here, I think.
I think the biggest thing for me when I'm like looking at possibly like process is it starts with the league settings. It starts with, is it unique? Or is it just like your regular 12x9 half PPR? Like if it's the most vanilla thing and it kind of looks the same, it's not going to stick out. Right. But if it's got something that maybe has like, tiered PPR, maybe it has something that makes it a little bit different. It doesn't have to be over the top, star 2 QB, 10x14, star 2 tight end. It doesn't have to be something like that. You can definitely push it on Reddit. You can definitely push it on the social media channels, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think what really the biggest thing is the activity. If you've got it's a 12-team league and you got 9 really active owners, like that is more attractive to me as I'm trying to join a league as it is. Because I'm going from the other side, Vapad. I'm not going to go from the side of trying to recruit, but like if I was going into a startup, like what would it be? What would I want to go into? Right. I want to go into a league that is preferably active. I want to go into a league that makes me think. right? So like those are my two big things. Like if it's active and it makes me think, I'm probably more than likely wanting to join the startup. If it's just something that's just like, hey guys, I'm bored. That's a Saturday night and I want to start a 12 by 30 dynasty league. That's, it's 30-man rosters, 12 by 10. Like, okay. If I'm not bored, then what? Especially May, like in May.
I guarantee if I go in right now into the chat and it's partly because it's a community of other degenerates, right? That makes it easy to fill. Like, even if I'm not the content creator or whatever, if I'm just, I don't want to say just, I didn't mean to say it like that, but I'm a patron in there. I'm in a big community, I don't know, 1,000 people or whatever, of just absolute hardcore degenerates that want to play Dynasty Fantasy Football, obviously. So when they see a new league come, they're going to want to get in it as long as it's interesting. Vape plays in some very, very, very interesting leagues. Some to the point of like just beyond kink. You know what I mean? Like, like there's some kinky sex that's like, oh, that's cool. And then it gets to the point where it's like, oh, I don't know, this might get some police activity. Like that's the equivalent of the leagues that he's in, that he creates. They are unique. I will say that. So if people want to challenge, you can join a league for with Vape. Excuse me. Real 10, what's up, bro? He recruits off of Reddit, screen out the weirdos with a few basic questions. Probably a good idea, right? He has enough leagues now where he can usually fill orphans from other leagues, right? And that's the other way to go about it. And you see it all the time. You're in leagues and you're in the chat and people jump in and they go, hey, I got an orphan. Does anybody want to join? So I think it's fairly easy.
Well, and I think it's also being a good person. I think that's also that can go. I can go a long way, right? If you're a good person, but if you're not, then it's like, oh, well, if you have a reputation, right? If you have a reputation of building dynasty leagues, and then in 2 years, like, hey, then most people are not going to want to fill them nearly as much. But teach their own. What's the next question? What do we got here? I think I saw one in the chat.
I'm going to go to, well, first of all,
or do we have one from the group?
I was going to hide this current comment. I was actually going to go to our banners. I made some banners this morning while I was doing roster reviews with Scott. And if you haven't gotten a roster review yet, there's a discount right now. Check out Scott's tweets, my tweets, whatever. We also gave you a link for half off on the site. Okay. First question, Alex Marriott, one of two. Alex Marriott says, I say says because it changes. Anyway, Alex Marriott says, when it comes to the tight end position, what have you found to be the best approach to it? Do you trade for veterans, draft guys, and hope they break out, or what? And then part two, I have struck out on drafting guys, and now that our league is tight end premium, it makes it even harder to trade for guys. So what's your tight end approach? Let's say 1.5 tight end premium, right? Because I don't even think either of us playing any non-tight end premiums, but at least 1.5 it starts, right? So what's your approach there?
1.5. I mean, like he said, if you struggle in leagues where to get them, it really depends on the league market. I'm in a league where tight ends are it's so juiced, it's nuts. But you just you kind of just pull anything, right? Because in bigger tight end premiums, like if you got 2.0 or higher, even the guys like Tyler Conklin, they have value. Like even going dirtier than like tight end 30, tight end 40, like if they're on the field, I'll take them. I'll take them because the second they are valuable to somebody, like because if I'm not contending, those are the kind of guys that I want to scoop for free and then try to just send right back out for like a 4th or a 5th. Right? If they're low level, like if we're talking like, I'm trying to think of one that popped last year. Who was that Denver tight end? Not the one.
Not Lucas Kroll.
Maybe it was Lucas Kroll. I think it actually was, but like he had like a flash in the pan, and it's just like you just like and Alex asked the question in the chat, like how many of them do you roster? It really depends on if you're contending or not, right? Like if I'm not contending, I'll take as many of them if I'm in a tight end premium and the league values it. I'll take as many of them as possible. I'll hoard them because at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to want to run. I'm not going to roster too many running backs because if I'm not competing, I don't want all those points.
Mm-hmm.
right?
So
Yeah,
even though, so you're saying, but if you had the running backs on your roster, you've already moved them. Not
yeah.
that you're saying, okay,
I've already moved. I've already moved the good
okay,
ones. I'm starting backups. Like I'm starting like Taj Brooks and Ollie Gordon this year.
I got
Whatever
you.
I get out of them, it's great.
Okay, I
You
got you.
know, like I don't have a CMC, I don't have a Bijan, I don't have a Gibbs, but I'll circulate through all of these guys because I'm going to try and get free value and I'm going to clear roster spots and keep churning and keep churning. If I'm contending and I've got a first round pick and I've got one of these guys, like let's just say it's Noah Fant. Like, can I take Noah Fant first and see how high I can get? Because I really want, if I'm trying to compete, I really want one of the elite guys. And by elite, it's like a sharp cutoff. And Shane, I think you did a Shane Says last off season, maybe, where like you talked about maybe the shelf, like where like you want Brock Bowers,
Right.
you want Sam Laporta, you want Trey McBride.
Yes.
Is there any other ones?
I mean, want is a relative term, right? It's there's plenty that I want considering the price.
But like what, like the elite shelf, right? Like what is the elite? Like where's the
George
cutoff
Kittle,
on
George Kittle, Sam Laporta, TJ Hawkinson because he's cheaper than other elite tight ends right now. I feel like that's about it. That's about it.
But
That's
after that,
literally
it's
it.
like, you know, you're playing in the shelf of 4 to 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the you know what I mean? Like what's Dallas Goedert?
Well, then,
What,
you know,
like what's the difference between Dallas Goedert and Will Disley?
So now I've decided with tight ends, if I don't have the elite ones, which I generally don't, you know what I mean? I have a lot of David Njoku, and so that's part of my approach, right? Is I want the athletic freaks. So David Njoku, like Jonnu Smith. I had a lot of Jonnu Smith last year, and it just worked out finally for the first time in a decade or however long, because they're athletic freaks, right? And when I see athletic freaks, the thing that comes to mind is spike weeks. I know they have it in their toolkit and it'll happen. And Dallas Goedert actually has that in his toolkit too. And he actually gives you a little more consistency. So I'm fine with Dallas Goedert. Like if I've punted the position, that's about as low as I want to go though. Right. Like I will say, like, if I can't get Evan Ingram, David Njoku, what's that guy's name? I just said Dallas Goedert.
Would you consider if you could get Travis Kelce at a literal Band-Aid? Knowing you probably got 1 year. No, you don't want him.
No, look, I've been off of Kelce way too long. I'll be first to admit that. I gave up on that dude 3 podcasts ago. Not this episode. I mean, literally 3 podcasts ago for me. I gave up on him. I was ready to move on. And unfortunately, I've been wrong. But at some point, I'm going to be right. And I'm going to guess it's his age 35 season when he had not looked very good last year. Although he still finished as like the tight end 3 or something. So you know what? Fuck that. Excuse me. What's his price? Maybe I will buy him.
If I gave you, can I give you a 26 second? Can you get him for a 26 second?
Yes, you can absolutely get him for that. And you know what? Considering the hit rates on seconds, I know
exactly
the opportunity,
especially
cost.
if it's a playoff second. Sure.
Yeah, but if you're trying to win right now, I think you do that.
And you got to do it now before the season starts, before people start panicking, start throwing firsts around.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Appreciate that, Alex. This was actually the first question. Somehow I skipped it. And look, I made this one scroll. So, I'm just going wild with the special effects tonight. Dragon Ball 5 asks, which QB will start first, Dart or Sanders? Now, would it help you to look at the NFL schedule?
It could. I know that the Giants have a week 14 bye. That I know. Because when I was looking through buys, it's funny, we were talking about this in the Discord. We were like, look, I looked at the buys, and you've pulled up it's on the screen now.
It is.
Here's what I said in the Discord in the Heisman tier. So if you're in the Heisman tier or the DD Goat tier, patreon.com/allgas or DD Fantasy Football, use the description below to get yourself 50% off. Where on the calendar, Shane, do you drop Jackson Dart's first start?
Okay, so let me go to NYG, right? Let's see, Washington. I don't want them going up against Dallas. Probably don't want them going up against KC. By the time they play the Chargers, they might be 0-4. At New Orleans is the first one, right? But
It has to be. But do you really want to start against the Saints in New Orleans?
here's the problem, right? If you don't start him there, his first game is at Philadelphia. Home at Philadelphia. Home against Philadelphia, and then at Denver. Like, I know obviously things can change. That is a murderer's row of defenses. And then guess what? Philly again. So they would go Philly at home, on the road to Denver, on the road to Philly.
Oh yeah, and then you're like, all right, he'll go start at home. Oh yeah, against Bob Saleh and the 49ers.
Yeah, and then it's San Francisco. And so if you're just going to take your lumps with this kid, you're going to have to, right? I say start them when they're 0-3 and they have the Chargers at home. You have a team coming from the West Coast, which, I don't know what time that game is.
Probably going to be at 1 o'clock. It'll probably be at 1 o'clock.
Right. So generally that does not bode well for the visiting team. I think that's when he starts. I think he starts week 4.
Yeah, he's got to start week 4 because if he doesn't start week 4, he's not starting week 6 because it's a Thursday night game. So they won't put him in on a short week. So that's why it could be at Denver. That's where my brain was actually at Denver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is just bananas.
Is that where you really?
Because
I guess here's
because you give him 10 days.
The problem's twofold though, right? One, this is a first round quarterback. Yes, he's a back end of the first, but he's still first. At some point, you're going to have to go, you know what? You go out there and show me that you're worth this pick. Secondly, there's the real world problem for Brian Dable. He could be 0-4, 0-5 at one point and go, holy shit, if I don't get this kid in here, I'm getting fired in season. Like I'm not even making it to the end of the season. If I'm the Giants, I stick him in week 1. That's me personally. Like, I obviously don't have any say in it, but I'm just, again,
going down. You might as well go down swinging, right?
Right. Like at Washington, great. It's really not great. Neither is at Dallas. Neither is at KC. But where's the soft place to put him in?
At the end of the season.
At New England in week 13?
On a Monday night.
At Vegas, sure. Get him against Vegas and Dallas in week 17 and 18. So to me, week 1, you went week what?
I said week 7. I'm going week 7 as my line. Okay. That's my line. I'm on record now because we got it on recording. So I'm going to say week 7, but but nobody feels good about it. I just don't look at the schedule as a Giants fan and say, this feels good.
Okay. I'm going week 4 now.
To answer the question, though, will Dart start first or Sanders?
Well, let's go to Sanders' schedule. Let's see here. Oh, wait, I don't care. I don't care who they open with. I don't care who they close with. Shedeur Sanders is going to be start. Let me try to say this in English, right? So when they do the little short, it actually makes sense. Shedeur Sanders will be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in week 1. Bank on it. Now,
that's spicy.
I understand that they have, who's there now? Joe Flacco. Is Joe Flacco there? They have Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco looked absolutely terrible last year. I think Sanders, at least what we've seen so far, has done everything that he should have. He came in humbled, right? That's what people wanted. They wanted him to be humble for whatever reason. They wanted that dude to just come in and take some lumps for whatever reason he has. And he's doing what he's supposed to, according to all reports. And he's still the most talented quarterback on that roster. It's just that simple. And I don't think it's particularly close. I like Dylan Gabriel. Unfortunately, he's 5'4". Joe Flacco is 173 years old. I don't care who else is on the quarterback room. It's not good. So I'm going Sanders week 1. And that's why I would say he would start before Dart, where you have him starting.
Their bye week is, looking at the calendar, we got week 9 bye week. Could we see a quarterback change once they come back from London after week 5? Cincy, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota could easily be 1-4, 0-5, somewhere in that range. Flacco starts the season, and then they're just going to turn over the keys to one of these guys and see if either one of them is worth it. Because they're still in cap hell for next year with Deshaun Watson's contract. They do have an extra 26 first from Jacksonville, which we can't discount. So they have the ammunition to go up for a quarterback if they want. I said this in the Discord, and I'm looking at the chat. I don't get why they took Gabriel when they start Sanders. I don't think they initially ever wanted Shadur Sanders. I don't think they wanted him. But when he fell to the 5th round, it was like, well, he's there. Why not? Even though they had already had Dylan Gabriel, because they were probably comfortable rolling Flacco, Pickett, and Gabriel. And then they saw Shadur at 5th. And if you recall back, and I said this in voice chat on Friday, if you recall back 2 years ago, they did the same exact thing. Right? They had Deshaun Watson. They had DTR. They had his name's escaped me. Snoop Huntley.
Oh, Snoop.
And they had a 4th quarterback. They quarterback hoarded 2 years ago. And then they tried to trade one off it once. And then teams were like, wait a minute, you got 4 quarterbacks. We're not dealing with you. And I think this situation might happen again, where they get 4 quarterbacks and they're just like, we're either going to roll with 4 or one of them's going to get cut. I think Shadur starts by week 6. I think that's probably a fair assumption. Once they come back from London, because he'll have time to come back. They'll prepare. Give him a few games. I think their bye week was week 9. I said if he doesn't show life in those 4 games, it's probably over for him. At least with Cleveland. Will he get another opportunity? That's up to the league, right? But if they come back from London and he balls for 4 straight weeks, after that bye week, Dylan Gabriel's not seeing the field. Kenny Pickett's not seeing the field. I think Joe is just there to see if they can maybe start the season hot with a good defense and see if they can get it rolling. Same way with the Giants. They're trying to get Russ to see if they can get things rolling early so they don't have to start Dart. But if poop hits the fan and they are 1-4 and they're looking like they're their top 5 draft pick, they're just going to turn it over to the kid and say, let's see what we got.
I'm definitely the optimist, right? Because I'm the one that's going, these rookies are starting immediately. So I'm staying with week 1 for him. What did I say? Week 4 for Dart. You're going week 6 for Shadur and week 6 for Dart as well?
I'm going week. What did I say? I said the week that they got to play. Is it Denver? So week 7.
And I put the schedule down.
Which is funny because if you look at the average, I forget who put out the stat a few years ago, but the average 1st round pick starts by week 4.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's it's very rare to get a Jordan Love situation.
Right.
But it's even a Michael Penix situation. It's pretty much a week by week 4 they're in. It's sink or swim.
So Keegan says, Keegan H, what's up, bro? You start Sanders, he stinks. Vadja benched, he's done. Is he not? You can't go back to Sanders if he stinks. So what's next for him? Drama for the next 3 years on the bench. Terrible situation, especially if they got the 1st pick with all the QBs. Here's the thing. He's a 5th round draft pick. If it does not work out for him and he stinks, if the talent is not there, Cleveland goes, see ya. Dylan Gabriel's our backup. We took him in the 3rd round or wherever they took him. Was it the 3rd round? Wherever they took him. Yeah, wherever they took. Yeah.
5th round pick is worth $1 million. So it really does. From a financial perspective, it's really not much. Yeah. They're not he could easily be, if they want to cut one, he's probably the lowest man on the totem pole in terms of guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Even below Kenny Pickett on year 4 of his deal.
Yep. He's gone. If he can't play, they don't care. He's gone next year. Because you don't want that drama with your backup, let alone a 5th round backup that's already flamed out that is never going to be the player or your quarterback of the future. So, yeah, that's where I am with Sanders. Let's go back to another question from the family, the Discord community, ddfantasyfootball.com. All gas, no breaks. Oh, it's Ty DeClaire from the All Gas Trade Show. How have you found your approach to managing Dynasty fantasy football has evolved over time?
It's gotten a lot easier with best ball.
Yeah.
I'll say that much. We were talking about lineups, I think. I think John Bauer was talking about his lineups and how he has 100 lineup leagues and he starts on Sunday and goes all the way up to kickoff. With best ball, it's a little bit easier. You do the waiver run, you do, your trading if you want to do any kind of trading because, Dynasty now is the redraft stock market. And then by Sunday morning, it's it is what it is, and you just move it along, and you just truck it along. Whereas with lineup leagues, it's a little more time intensive. I've switched a little bit more to best ball, especially post COVID. Everybody had kind of like the COVID boom of their dynasty portfolio. Kind of, it's we were all home. We were all bored. We're talking about startups earlier. We all got bored, and it's like, well, I'm still stuck at home. Let me go start another startup because I got nowhere else to go. But I think it's managing it over time has become, it's interesting because now that I'm more front facing, now that I've got, a 3.5-year-old, like I've had to kind of prioritize my time in my leagues and really think about, okay, is this a league that I want to be in? If it's not, then move it along. But then also like best ball allows you a little bit more flexibility because I don't have to sit there at 11:30 on a Sunday morning and be like, yeah, do I want to start this wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 6?
Right. I took this question as to mean like how your fantasy football approach has changed, but from a practical perspective, and ties in here, if he's still in here, he could let us know which is which. I am at, I think 28, 29 leagues right now. Having some issues logging into MFL, so I'm not exactly sure, but it's like 29 or 30. I found that at one point I was in 50 plus leagues and I couldn't handle that. Found out after the fact that was a terrible, terrible, terrible idea, and kept whittling it down until finally I'm at where I'm at. And I think I'm at a number that is easy, not easy. Yeah, easy for me to manage. I have a job that is allows me some time to jump on the computer if I need to. Because I'm staring at the computer all day nonstop. So if I need to, I can jump on and make moves as I want to. So from a practical perspective, I think just making sure you're in the right amount of leagues that you can actually manage. Don't feel like you have to be in 45 leagues. Like it doesn't make you cooler. It doesn't make me any cooler because I'm in 30 leagues versus someone that's in 2. Like it, whatever. Be in as many leagues as you can actually manage. From a perspective of how do I, like, I thought, again, Ty said, however I want to take it. I took this as how's your view on fantasy changed or how you actually manage as a player? I'll say this. I was a lot more certain that I was correct when I first started playing. Always knew I was always correct. There was no way I could be wrong. I didn't allow for variance. I didn't allow for multiple outcomes. And I'd also say that I was heavily a player take guy. Like that was that's all I knew. I was player take. Like process, I had none. It was literally, I like this player, which is funny because now my whole thing with Scott, obviously too, is that process over players. It's a process driven game, process trades. So that's where I'm at from playing fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to answer that half of the question, I would say what has probably changed is I've probably taken a few more swings, and I've obviously landed on my rear end a bit more with misses when I'm taking those risks. If I'm being transparent in some of the leagues, and some folks that are in the live chat are probably in the leagues with me and have seen some of those live swings and misses. But when it hits, it looks really nice. But when it doesn't, nobody likes to watch the guy. Everybody likes to watch home runs when they go to a baseball park, right? Nobody likes to watch
dig the long ball,
right? Chicks and dudes dig the long balls, right? Yes. We hit dingers. Nobody likes to watch a team that hits 27 singles, right? They like to watch the home runs. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Like I'm still in the ballpark of, I just want to hit one 440 instead of taking, where the pitch is on the outside corner. I'm just going to go take it the other way. And I think that's what process over players really is just continuing to hit singles and building it up because you can still get to that same 10 runs. It's just probably going to look boring, but it works. Because in the results, you're probably more successful as opposed to taking big swings and probably having those big variances, right? Where you're 1 year a playoff team and the next year you're taking the 102. Like, those are the teams that, I think if we're learning, like I'm learning to hit maybe a few more singles every once in a while. Like it's okay to have, a man on when you hit the home run instead of just trying to hit solo shots.
Man, I love homers. I want the least I want is a double. That's the least I want. I'm the hammer guy, literally the hammer guy. I tell you, wide receiver 2s don't matter. Wide receiver 3s absolutely don't matter as people, as fantasy assets, as anything you want to say. They don't care about them, but you do need them. You know what I mean? Like that's more hyperbole more than anything. I will obviously always overpay for an elite asset to a certain number, right? And that's the difference between being more player oriented and more process. Even when I do get the vapors for a player, I'm less likely to give them everything I got to get them, and I'm more likely to go, you know what, this might not be a great idea. Because yeah, it's super cool that I have Malik Neighbors in this league. My wide receiver 2 is now Amari Cooper. What am I going to do?
That was a good question, though.
Yeah,
good question.
We liked it. So here's another question from the crowd. 4th and 1. Like it. 12 team start 10 superflex 1.5 tight end premium. The 101, yes, or Kyron 203 Hollywood Brown.
This goes right to: are we swinging for the fence or are we going for the singles?
Dude, I don't even, dude. If you're just swinging a bat at all, you take the 101.
You take the bat, yeah. The bat is the swing is definitely the 101. As nice as Kyron. What is that, like Kyron, Scattaboo in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Kyron Golden, Kyron Burden in Hollywood.
Sure.
Like, I'm just trying to find what 203 is, right? Like, what is, put a name to that. Genty or
Trey
Kyron.
Harris.
It makes it sound like it makes the case easier, is what I'm trying to find.
Yeah. Dude, this is a smash accept. If this is in your inbox, you should be throwing your phone at the wall to make it hit accept. Like, just get an actual hammer and smack accept on your phone. But don't really do that because phones are expensive. And Gorilla Glass is strong. It's not that strong. This isn't even a question, bro. Take this. There's absolutely no scenario I can think of that I would not just take Ashton Genty over this package. I can't think of one scenario. The one scenario that I would not take the 101 is this is a Devi depleted league. There are 70 Devi players rostered. Wait,
we're going back to last 60. Week, Shane. We're going to Shane Says last week, right? What would you do? What ifs?
Yeah.
Like, what is the what if that would make you not take the other side?
My family's been kidnapped. My children specifically, not my ex. My children have been kidnapped, and if I draft Ashton Genty, I don't get them back. That's it. That's the only way. But if they had the X and they gave me the same choice, I'm drafting Ashton Genty. So appreciate the question. Let's go to another one from our people. Big Diaz wanted to have a fun one. You were promoting a social network called Mastodon. Was that real? If so, what's the story behind it? One, Diaz, it was real. I completely forgot about it until you brought it up today. And the only thing is I'm a content creator, right? So Blue Sky pops up. I join Blue Sky. Spoutable pops up. I join Spoutable. Mastodon. There's Chinese sites that if I could get the translation, I would join because I just want places to post content because I'm a content creator. That's what I do. That's literally all it was. Like, I know some people jumped on me about being on Blue Sky for being, whatever. Literally, it's another place to put content. You know what I mean?
That's all these are. It's all opportunities. All it takes is somebody to see the hard work you put in, and it doesn't matter whether they see it here, there, out, on a carpet. I don't care.
Absolutely. Not deeper than that. No deeper than that. All right, let's get out of here. We did have a legitimate question, and I want to go here you go. Finally. Okay, I said finally. He has other 4 questions in here, but I start with the last one. Dumbass. Kittles, Sean, what's up, brother? What is the best practice or prep you can suggest for someone who has never done an auction draft? Any tools, sites, or tricks? Brandon, I'll let you hit this first because you do auctions.
I've done auction drafts. I prefer auction over snake. Like, I really don't want to do any more snake drafts. I just don't think that I don't like having the inability to not choose and let somebody else choose for like 11 picks. It's just not, to me, it's not as much fun. With auction, you can, even if you don't want the player, you can you can manipulate the draft a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you could, like if you don't like you know, if you don't want Malik Neighbors because you already have Chase and Jefferson, like you could tap up Neighbors or you can move it. I don't think there's any real tools. I mean, obviously you can utilize the war tool. That would probably be the biggest thing. ddfantasyfootball.com. You could use the war tool for that league to try to figure out what is valuable, right? Not necessarily names, but just what is valuable. So that way you can maybe target those in the auction draft. I'm assuming Sean, I know he's in the chat. I've seen him. Is it start? I'm assuming it's a startup or is it I'm not assuming it's a dispersal. Tricks. Know how much time's on the clock when you're doing the auction draft. Is it a fast draft or is it a slow draft? If it's a slow draft, man, know when that clock resets, because you can manipulate the board. That's the biggest thing is the manipulation of the board. You know, if you're not, if you know that you have a guy that you want to get through, let's say it's, you know, we're in a startup chain and you got Lamar Jackson and you know he's coming to the end of the clock, but you really want to go mess with the bottom of the board. You could sometimes just let Lamar clear the board first and then go create chaos, because at least you got your player, because the second you start messing with other people, they start messing with your picks. You know what I mean? Like if you've got Jalen Hurts and I've got Lamar Jackson and I start tapping your Hurts while my Lamar's on the board, I know for certain you're coming after him. Like you're going to try to reset the clock. Like
it's funny. I brought this up in the chat last week. So I have, sometimes I have some rage issues. I don't know what air quoted that. I absolutely do. And sometimes I lose my cool when someone redlines me, and I would say I react poorly is the way I would put it, publicly, in the chat. And what I've noticed is, right, and this might be why I continue to exhibit this behavior or these behaviors, is because when I do that, I don't seem to get redlined anymore. I also don't seem to have a lot of bids. My players bid up after that. Now that's probably not a good trick. There's only, you know what I mean? Like only so many times you can pull that off. You know what I mean? You can't do it in every auction you're in. But I've noticed that in a couple of auctions where I've lost my cool, that I did not get redlined again, and the players that I was bidding on didn't get bid. But so from a less petty little crybaby way about it, simple things, right? You're putting players out there that you know you don't want to bid on, or you know that other people will overbid for.
Oh, so that's the Scott Connor technique. Yeah. Just throw a dude up there to just distract people. Right.
So I will throw like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like ARSB, not as much as the community likes him. So every time I'm in an auction, he's going up first at wide receivers. Why? Because he's elite. If he goes down, I that's fine with me. I know other people are going to bid him up. If for some reason he doesn't get bid up and I can get him cheap, cool. But I don't care if I get him. It's more important that I get him out there and get people bidding on him.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, Sean, is knowing how much money is also in the pot, right? So if you're throwing an Amon-Ra and you know that you want to try to pull the money out of people's pockets. You don't want it sitting on their bank. You don't want it sitting like, you know, you want to take, you know, obviously the hammers right off the board. And then you start with, you know, if you want to go to Scott Connor method where it's, you know, just throw up B-Rob right off the rip, like go for it. But if you want to get some actual money off the board,
yep.
You know, the next step would be take the high ADV guys that people are talking about the most right now.
Absolutely. So we have a super chat. We're going to get that in a second. Matter of fact, we'll just hit that now because it's not even a question. It's just a shout out. What's up, Cheeky Hobson? Just had to give out to my boys. Appreciate you, dude.
Appreciate it.
Good peoples. Now there was another one in here. Okay. And look, we love newbies that are just starting Dynasty. Where's the best place to enter a low-priced Superflex startup? Never done one and looking to get my feet wet. There are a lot of leagues on Sleeper. If you go into I think it's classifieds, you dig around in there. There's a lot of leagues in there. You won't know any of those people, but assuming that the league is on League Safe, you're generally fine. You should also look in classifieds on fantasy football websites. I don't work for any of them, so I'm not going to give you their names, but you can just Google it. And if you're in the DD fantasy football community, you go join the new leagues channel. But there's lots of places, and I'll tell you the truth. When I first started, and I got into Dynasty, I literally would tweet out, "Is anyone doing a Dynasty league? Because I would like to join one." All those leagues ended at some point or another, but all of them led to where I am in my fantasy world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they all led to connections and what's the word when you meet people?
Networking.
Networking. What's the other word when you like people? Relationships.
There you go. That one.
Relationships that helped me find other leagues after that were more to my suitability. So I'd say try sleeper first. There's like, and it depends on what you consider low priced. I don't know. Some people consider
know what your
$50 low priced.
Yeah, best play. I mean, and also know what your budget is. That's the biggest thing you could do is know your budget. Like, because once you do one, you kind of want to do another one, and then you got to realistically look at your bank account and be like, can I really realistically afford these? You know, because before you know it, you're blank and you got a portfolio. Like literally, they spawn like mice. You got one, and you got like 7.
Yeah.
And yes, I did see a comment. Make sure they use League Safe.
Yeah.
That is like make sure they use League Safe. You know, the funds are safe. You know, the funds are in a good spot, and you can enjoy the league. But hopefully, you find one.
All right, another one from our DD Fantasy Football community. I'm not a commercial, but it's the best community. I've been in a few. Sharpest group of people by far, and some of the most diverse thought processes. So join today, half off in the description. Hit the link. Matt Witt 2410 says, "What are the main pillars you live by as a portfolio dynasty manager? For example, what is your perfect exposure percentage? Questions of that nature." So what are your pillars as a portfolio owner? Or do you even have pillars?
Draft good players.
I like that.
That's the first pillar. Draft good players. I wouldn't say I necessarily have like a perfect exposure percentage. I would say, Matt, you can I don't think there's necessarily you can be. Trying to phrase this where it doesn't sound like I'm just saying overweight or underweight, right? Because what is that? What is that to each person, right? Like we were just talking offline. Like you're like, oh, I got all these shares of this guy, but I don't have shares of this guy. It's the little short that you did this morning, right? That's on the YouTube page, right? You only had one Henderson, but you had like 40 JCMs. It's like there is no perfect percentage on. I think it's you want to try to get the good players. That's the biggest pillar, is drafting the good players, but then also like identifying the move. Like for me, I want to make sure that I have something of each player when I come out of a rookie draft, if possible. Even if I don't like the player, right? Even if the community is not high on the player, right? I still want to have a portion of them on my dynasty rosters, because at some point I don't want to look back and be like, I should have had more. I should have had more Emeka Ibuka, or I should have had more Matthew Golden, even though the community may not believe in a guy. I'm just using those two as an example, but like the one that sticks to my mind is always Chris Olave a couple years back in 22.
Oh, yeah.
We just kind of just brushed him off. He was like wide receiver 4. We were like, I want more Garrett Wilson. I want Drake London. I want Treylon Burks. The hell with that Chris Olave. And then he goes out and has a great rookie season, and we're all sitting here like, wish you would have had more Olave. And then you had to go overpay to go get back into him. So but having more like a divert, I don't necessarily want to put it at a percentage, Matt, but just making sure, especially like in the first like 18 picks of most rookie drafts, whatever those 18 players are, I want to make sure that I've got try to get at least one of them each on my rosters, because when they eventually fire in the regular season and I can utilize them and deploy them, because the way I look at rookie picks is more like lottery tickets. That's how they are. They're all different kinds of scratch offs. Some are worth $2, some are worth $100, and you're just hoping the scratch off actually pays off. But like, if you've got one that you really like we want to get that. Like, you want to get those people. Like, you want to be able to move them or hold on to it. I mean, how many Pukas did you have coming out of your rookie draft, Shane, your for that year. Had to buy them all.
Yeah.
You know, looking back, I mean, how many Olaves do you recall how many Olaves you had?
Oh, I hated him. Absolutely hated him. And by the end of his rookie season, I was his biggest cheerleader. Like I was in the
JSN. JSN was another one, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people were all the way out, but now people are getting back in. Like,
I mean, that kind of goes back to the earlier, like knowing that you're not going to be right. You just look, you have to know that you're not always going to be right. Like, because I could throw every stat at you that I want that tells me 80% of the time something's going to happen, right? It doesn't mean it's 100% of the time. It's 80% of the time. So if you want to put a little bit of, you're in 30 leagues, maybe I do want to have two, what's that person's name? 2 of JSN instead of going, oh, there's no way this guy can be good after his rookie year. Maybe I do want 2 of them if the price is right. I'll say this one thing I am getting more into, or I've started to be cognizant of. Stop worrying about exposure. Now, I was just talking about, get a couple shares of a player, right? But I'm talking about like at the expense of your team, making sure I go get a specific player. Oh, I need 27% of Brian Thomas Jr. I don't care how I get there. I'm just going to send out offers until I'm at that 27%, which sounds good in theory. You're like, yeah, dude, the more of a good player that you have, the better, right? Except that I got to the point where sometimes I would sacrifice too much to get that player just so I could be like, oh, well, I have 27% of Brian Thomas Jr. Well, who gives a shit if 40% of the teams you have him on are now dog shit because you traded away too much. So I'm trying to, summertime, it's fine. It's fun to look at. I'm not making decisions based on exposure rate. I'm just not doing it. This is going to be counterintuitive. I'm in 30 leagues, right? I am trying to give more individualized attention to each of those teams than I have in the past. Obviously, there's going to be the teams that I know that I'm punting completely, so there's less to do. But in general, I'm just going to try. I'm going to try not to do things driven just to get a percentage at a, you know what I mean? A player at a certain percentage.
Yep. No, I'm 100% there. I think that's the biggest pillar.
Let's get rid of this question if I could find it. What is this, Matt? Where you at, bro? There it is. It's highlighted. That's probably helpful. I do want to hit some of these questions before we bounce out of here. It's been a quick 52 minutes. Appreciate everyone that joined us tonight on a Saturday night. Really, really appreciate it. Appreciate all the questions. Crap sticks. Actually, I wanted to make sure that we did this. We had a couple people hit us up on Twitter, so I just wanted to make sure.
Let's get those guys too.
I shared with they took their time, and I appreciate that. Sam Wise, what's up, brother? Can you compare which you think will become a starter first? Primary ball carrier, as it applies to the state of their teams. Marion, Hampton, or Trevian, Henderson? Who will be the primary ball handler first? Who's the one first on their team?
I'm probably going to go Henderson because I still think the Patriots are probably still going to be in a little. You got a new ball coach. Well, he's not a new offensive coordinator. It's like 4th time around the circle in Josh McDaniels. I feel like Henderson probably even though he wasn't technically a 1st-round pick. I just feel like Najee Harris is probably a bigger barrier to Marion Hampton getting primary ball handler duties than Ramondre Stevenson is. That's just kind of how, like, I'm looking at the barrier in front of them, right? Like, who's a bigger barrier to stopping, because the Chargers offense was great with J.K. Dobbins when he was running the football. Like, running it wise, like, they were fine. He was the primary ball carrier, and they got hurt. And then they started going to, whatever was left off the scrap heap. Gus Edwards, there was, Kamani Vidal. It was like whatever. And they fortified that by going and getting Hampton. So, like, if Najee, it's going to take probably Najee going down for Marion Hampton to probably get on the field with a primary ball handler. Whereas Henderson, he could probably start in a timeshare. He's probably going to beat out Antonio Gibson. And then can he overtake Ramondre Stevenson, by like week 4? That's how I'm looking at it. I mean, I could be wrong, and Hampton could be out there toting the rock 18 times week 1.
Yeah, I think there's Twitter. Just scrolling down some of the questions, but that looks like crap. So I'm going to end that. Someone's going to see that and yell at me. Hampton, because I don't think Trevian Henderson's ever going to be that type of player. I think I don't want to say committee back because that's not what he's going to be. I think he will be the one on his team, but I think his role will be more varied, and the way he gets touches is more varied than just handing him the ball. And I think Hampton from the get is going to end up being that guy sooner because the difference between him and Najee Harris is going to be so apparent that they're going to have no choice. What's more likely to happen is he's a rookie and he's not going to really get a ton of run until the end of the season because that's generally how they treat rookies. So, yeah, I think we both go Hampton first, but.
I mean, I would love to see Hampton first. I think we probably see more of Henderson initially. And
because
then probably because of his role.
Yeah, he's a better pass catcher, right? So he's going to be on the field for that. He's a better.
He's a good pass protector too.
That's what I was going to say. He's an excellent pass pro. So that means he's on the field. Pretty much, you don't have to take him off the field. So
yeah, the biggest thing is his injury history. Can he stay healthy? If he could be I think part of the reason why they brought in Quinshon Judkins too last year to Ohio State was so that Trevian didn't have to be the guy. Right? It was a good thunder and lightning kind of deal. And I think that's probably what the Patriots probably are like. Yeah, we need a little bit better lightning than Antonio Gibson.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's okay. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. All right. Jason. I believe this is Jason Singh. League is closing this season. Last year, this league. It's a 12-team Superflex, start 9, no tight end premium. No PPR, standard scoring. So no premiums, no PPR. 12-team Superflex start 9, ending this year. With the 101 and 102, is it better to stay put and draft the top running backs or try to leverage 2-for-1 trades? So here's the thing about the 2-for-1. Who am I getting with those 2 picks? Am I getting Bijan Robinson? Am I getting Jahmyr Gibbs? Am I getting the list is ended? Because those are the only 2 I could even consider trading those 2 picks for. I'm giving up Hampton and Genty and I know I said that backwards. I'm giving up Hampton and Genty. I'm sorry, it's 1.5 PPR. Sorry, Jason. I said PPR with 1.5. Okay. Either way, it's closing down, right? So who would you consolidate Hampton and Genty for? Trying to win this season. We understand it. That's all you're trying to do is win this year. How many players are worth Hampton and Genty to you? Because both of those dudes are in your starting lineup this year. Genty, obviously, no doubt about it. You expect to be a top 5 running back. Hampton, by the end of the season, I think we expect him to be a top 12 running back.
Yeah.
Not overall for the season, but in that range when the season's ending.
I think the list probably ends at Gibbs. I don't think you can make the case right now for Brees. Okay. I don't think you can make the case right now for even if you wanted to go into Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. I don't think you make I don't think, you know what I mean? Unless you're literally playing redraft, then I guess maybe. But do you really want to take either one of those guys over Genty?
In a 1-year bet? No. I still don't, even in a 1-year bet.
In a 1-year bet, we were in the Discord last night talking about bets, and I'm not betting that Saquon Barkley is going to repeat his performance. There's probably a realistic there's probably a reality where Saquon plays 15 games, right? Maybe has 1 or 2 games where he's a little nicked up, and they're just like, you know what, we don't need to run him out there week 12. We're 10-1. We don't need to, you know what I mean? Same thing with Derrick Henry. If he gets nicked up, there's a real case where they're just going to be like, you know what, we need him for the playoffs. This is we're trying to win championships here, not divisional rings. So I struggle thinking
so, real quick, Jason's team. Let me tell you his team.
All right, give me the team.
I combined 2 tweets. That's what happened with Jason. So it's 1.5 tight end premium start 10. It's 12 by 10. So that changes a little bit, right? So he's got Alan Purdy, running back. He's got James Conner, Jerome Ford, I guess Kendra Miller. It doesn't matter. A bunch of running backs, threes, wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr., G-Dub, Waddle, Juwan Jennings, tight end. He's got Likely, Henry, Fryermuth, Sinat, and the 202.
Okay.
But the league, again, the list of players that I'm willing to trade the 101 and 102 for, even in a 1 year.
Can I trade the 101 to get Bijan and 102 to go get like Trey McBride?
There you go. I'll do that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying again. The picks are irrelevant. The value's irrelevant at that point. Like we're playing redraft here. Like I want to get bodies.
Yeah.
I want the ones that have a chance to win. So can I go get one of those dudes with 101? Like, can I get Bijan for the 101, or can I just stay and take Genty and do Genty and then trade 102 to go get Bijan or Trey McBride? Either one of them, I don't care, because now I'm pairing that with Josh Allen, with Brock Purdy. Now my starters are at least like I could be a real contender, because the running back room is thin after James Conner, but you can make it work. Yeah. I've seen running back rooms that are really bad work.
And if you want to go quarterback, sure. You know, again, the list is small. It's can I get Jalen Hurts? Can I get Lamar Jackson? Can I get Jaden Daniels? Can I get Joe Burrow? I guess.
Yep. Yeah. Fine. I mean, Joe's going to throw for 4,500 yards.
Wide receiver. Can I get Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. What top 15 players can I get with either one of those picks?
Right.
How many?
To combine them, I need a top 7 player, top 8.
Yeah, sure. And he's already got one in Josh Allen.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, can you get 2 more and at least have 3 of the top 15 on your squad?
Right.
I think that's fine.
So, one more question. Can you discuss the toughest decisions of rookie drafts? Trevian versus Judkins versus Harvey, and then Golden versus Burden versus Dart. So how did you handle the whole Trevian Henderson? More important, Harvey is the harder discussion for us, right? I think Trevian Henderson is the 103 the third running back off the board for most people. I think it's those 3, and then it's the next 3. It's Judkins, Caleb, Harvey. What order do I take them in? So how did you handle that? Were there any things, I guess, did PPC make a difference in which way you went or not?
Yeah, a scoring format. I think it's kind of scoring format because, you know, if I'm more PPC, I'm probably leaning more Judkins, Caleb over Harvey. Even though I like Harvey, the odds that he gets the early down mark overestimate early on is probably low.
Okay.
Right? Like, that's just because if can he turn into Alvin Kamara? Sure. But that's going to take some time, right? Kamara didn't start out with 70 catches and 250 rushes right out the rip. Like, maybe he did, and I'm going to get flamed in the chat, but that's okay. But when you have, different tiers and different PPRs, like, maybe I'm leaning Harvey over the other 2. I think one of the things that I've noticed, and I think I said this, I forget where I said this in the Discord, like, we've gotten to the point with some of the guys where we've zoomed past value, and now we're just taking them because we've always taken them. Instead, like, I'm okay with making a bet on like a guy like RJ Harvey, but I think we're going into what you were talking about earlier, where it's like, I know I'm right, and RJ Harvey is going to be better than Quinshawn and Caleb, and we have no idea.
Yeah.
And then you get caught sitting there with a 75%, 15%, 10% allocation, and you're like, well, that sucks. Because, Quinshawn or, Dylan Sampson didn't push Quinshawn, and Jalen Warren stayed in his role, and Caleb was a more efficient Najee. Like, those are outcomes that we don't want to talk to ourselves through. Like, we want to believe that Sean Payton and RJ Harvey is going to be a match made in heaven, but it's just, we're getting to the point now where how have we gone too far? Right. And I think that's how I'm navigating all of this. It's like, it's the same thing with Dart and Golden and was it Burden?
Burden, yeah.
Third? Yeah. Is like, I'm towing the line of being too cute with just what is does the actual talent, can the talent get with its opportunity actually be production? You know, we've completely like thrown Matthew Golden into Romeo Dobbs territory before he's even gotten on the field. I'm not saying that he's good. I'm not saying that he's going to be good. I'm just saying we have eliminated the potential outcome of Matthew Golden being actually the wide receiver one. We've just eliminated it because everybody else on the field we've watched Romeo Dobbs, we've watched Christian Watson, we've watched Tavian Wicks, we've watched Bo Melton, we've watched all of these dudes just completely, just be fine, but not great. And it's like, well, Matthew Golden's not going to be great because he was late first and he went to Green Bay. How do we know that he doesn't create a connection with Jordan Love and become the Christian Watson, and he's a healthier Christian Watson? What if that happens? Because that was the thing that we always wanted with Christian Watson, right? Was could the dude stay healthy? Because when he was good.
Yeah.
But what happens if that's the case with Matthew Golden? Then it's like, oh, I've been getting him at 203. Man, that's going to feel like a steal. Then he goes into that Devonta Smith range where it's like any late first, and I can trade him for Golden. So that's just kind of how I viewed it. Like now, as we're like 3 weeks away from the draft, we had that initial rush and that initial ADP surge on a couple guys. And now it's like, okay, the waters are kind of settling and like common sense is coming back. Or maybe it's just like we're I don't want to say we're second guessing ourselves, but we're just like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have been like over leveraging over here. Maybe we should have been like you did a good job of describing it earlier with like your running backs. Like I got a little bit of everybody. Like it's not that you didn't make a bet on a player. It's that you just were like, I'm not 100%. I don't know which one's right. So let's let the league figure that out. And then I can adjust. If Caleb Johnson's just another running back too, okay. Like if he's just James Conner, fine. Cool. He's nothing special, but he's going to be there and he's going to take 275 touches every year. Cool. Maybe RJ Harvey's just Zach Charbonnet, but smaller. Like maybe he's just a smaller Zach Charbonnet.
That'll crush souls, man.
That'll crush souls. But like maybe he's just like, maybe that's just going to be his role. And
yeah, that's I mean,
I don't want to go Keyshawn Vaughn on people. I don't. No. We're not going that far.
You look at Harvey, you look at Caleb, even Judkins, who I love. You might as well just start Trevian into that mix, to be quite frank. Sure, could I've had, well, not Hendo, but those three running backs, Harvey, Caleb, Judkins, I could have had, just looking at the math, probably 10 of one. And you know what I mean? And there's none of the other, and then 5 of another, or, I could have just been like, oh, I'm so sure that Quinshon Judkins is going to be the man. I took him 15 times. Like, I have no idea which one's going to be good, to be quite honest with you. None at all. No one even wants to hear this scenario. I'm old enough to remember when there was a running back class where none of them ended up being good, or only one of them ended up being good when we thought they were all going to be superstars. I remember J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers. Who else was in that class? JT was great. And
CH, remember he had a good one game?
Right. And that's it. That's it. We got one out of that class, unless I'm forgetting someone, which is possible. I just want to hit a couple more star questions before we go. Rubio, I did like this. Don't join too many leagues unless you don't have a job. Well, if you don't have a job, it's hard to join leagues unless they're free. But no, to that point, joining as many leagues as you can actually handle. Again, it's not a competition. Bindles, what's up? Evening, brah. David Ross, long time friend, going way back from me. David Ross, 12-team Superflex, 1.5 tight end premium, start 9. Take Laporta in round 4 or wait until round 5 or 6 to take Loveland or Warren. 1.5 tight end premium, start 9.
Can I wait till round 6 to take Loveland or Warren?
You can. It's up
like
to
if
you,
I'm
bro.
like, I think if I'm that far out, round 6, that's fine. Like the 1.5 tight end premium, I don't think it really makes that. It's not going to make that much of a difference in your league.
No.
So like the difference between taking Laporta, like let's say Laporta at 4.6 and taking Warren at 6.6, like what's the odds that you get 70% of Laporta 2 rounds later, and you get the opportunity to take, a better wide receiver or a better running back, like what would be there? I'm trying to like think in my head.
In round 4, I haven't done a startup in quite some
I
time.
know. I'm like
except for
trying to think through like some of the underdog drafts.
throw it out there. Someone who's in that round.
Somebody.
Yeah, I like this right here. Ricky won. Punt even further and grab
Yeah,
Mason
go
Taylor in the
farther.
13th.
Yeah.
You should not be getting Mason Taylor in the 13th, but the point is taken because grab Mason Taylor if you're just going to punt it.
Yeah. Would you would you rather Rice and Warren, or let's do Laporta and Michael Pittman? Let's go far.
Rice and Warren. Not even.
You know what I mean? Like that's
absolutely.
That's what you're deciding is really.
Thanks, Crangus.
Yeah, that one's a helper. You know, but that's kind of like
absolutely.
the thing, like X-Worthy and Warren, or Laporta and Michael Pittman. You're gonna have a lot of variables between all 4 of those players. But
you go Laporta if you think he is closer to what he showed in his rookie season and was going to ascend beyond that, as opposed to what he showed in his sophomore year, which wasn't bad at the end of the season, but still. Is he a actual needle mover even in 1.5, right? Is he in that Trey McBride, Brock Bowers tier? George Kittle when he's healthy tier? Travis Kelce even last year, even though I trashed him earlier. I don't know if he's there. So if given the choice, if I could do someone like Rice and Warren or Mason Taylor a little later, I'd rather do that than Laporta and Michael Pittman. I don't want that. That does not appeal to me in any way whatsoever. All right. Tip major, yo. Anytime someone says yo, I have to by Philly law. Let them on the screen. Corey Walters, way back at 9-12 in a rebuild and have Barkley. What should I be asking for him in a 12-team Superflex start 10? Do I wait until the season? Yeah, I'm going to say this right now. Yes, you wait until the season when he's scoring points, because the worst time to sell an elderly running back is in the offseason, because nobody wants him because we're not scoring points. So we have no need for him right now.
Yeah, like what's the best you can get? Like a mid-26 first, maybe?
Would you cash out for that, knowing that he is a 28-year-old running back that's just coming off 400 and what did I say it was? Over 400 touches, including the playoffs, well over 400.
If I have an offer in my inbox for multiple firsts, I don't care when they are.
No, just one. One first. 126 first.
No, because I'll wait, because I've been around long enough where Keenan Allen in the Chicago Bears, he was netting a first. Like Saquon, once he starts putting up 20 points per game or more, people will pay a first plus. Like it's May 17th. You still got it's not 4 months anymore, but now it's getting it. You got a little over 90 days to make that, to let that marinate. It's okay to I think that's the one like common misnomer in Dynasty is like rebuilders having crusty pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like having the right having the right veterans isn't a bad thing at all.
No,
like it's not bad having a Saquon Barkley, because you know that he's still like, even if he was to have even a semi-serious injury, there's still going to be, you still can probably sell him. Like if Saquon went out and had he had to go on PUP because he, tore his MCL in training camp, and he's out for the first 6 weeks of the season, you're fine.
I don't know. No, 29-year-old running back coming off that. Think about the Christian McCaffrey conversation. All things being equal, I would love to move him right now as opposed to waiting for the season. But if the offers I'm getting are not acceptable, I'm not going to move him just to move him. I'm not going to.
Yes, I'm not I'm not moving him just to move him. But I do think because even now with CMC, you still can, a year later, you still can move him for a first. Right. I guess that was my point, was you don't necessarily have to move him. There's windows in which to move him, and this is not one of them right now.
All right. So just real quick, because we both got to go. Relay 10. Hunter Henry sneaking 2 tight end premiums.
Absolutely. He's had 400 yards in every season he's played, minimum.
Absolutely. Big Diaz energy, our bro. Guys, I paid for a roster review. Immensely helpful. Do it. I had to pitch it. Me and Scott doing roster reviews. If you need them, want them quickly for your rookie drafts, I would suggest getting in now, because our calendars are pretty booky.
And there's still a discount too on them.
Discount.
Use the code.
Yes.
Use the code. It's good until Wednesday.
Sure.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah. Look at Scott or mine's tweets. One of ours, probably Scott's, is the better one to go to. All right. Last question. I promise. Jeff, if you're contending this year, would you move your 26 first and second to get depth at wide receiver if you have dusty old vets who have injury history, or try to tier up to a stud? So are you buying a stud or are you getting depth? And let's say depth is a level below Devontae Adams. I don't know. Michael Pittman, since you just talked about him earlier. Michael Pittman and, let's see, it's a first and a second. So how much are you getting, really? Tyreek Hill. Would you pay Tyreek Hill that price right now?
No, I don't need to pay that for Tyreek. I might be able to get Tyreek for like a second and somebody else. That's where Tyreek is at right now. I mean, yeah, you could probably buy an Addison who's, historically had some good time. Yeah, you probably use that singular 26 first to get that tier. Devonta Smith, Waddle, and then you could use the second to probably get a guy like Jacoby Myers and Khalil Shakir. Like that feels a little better because you got a little bit of youth.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather use that pick? Opportunity cost is not talked enough about in fantasy football. You give up that 26 first and second. You've given up the opportunity to use it for another piece. Would you prefer to use that to buy and tier up? So let's say I can add that first and second to Jalen Waddle, and it gets me into, let's say, AJ Brown, significant gap. He's a little older, significant gap in scoring, though. Would you do that?
Depends.
Okay.
It depends. Like
it depends on. He's contending.
He's contending, but it depends on the format, right?
Okay.
Like
Full
12 by
PPR.
like
Nothing.
Like
yeah,
but if it's like 12, if it's 12,
Amish missionary.
If it's 12-9, yeah, of course, right? I want studs. But if it's like 12-11, 12-12, no, I'd rather have the depth, right? Because at the end of the day, like those ones that are longer, you gotta have more bodies, and I don't want to have to use extra picks. I don't want to have to mortgage the future to get higher up, and I know that people will want to liquidate at some point during the season.
Okay,
this was fun.
Yeah, dude. Saturday night mailbag. This was a good time. I appreciate everybody watching us tonight. Brandon,
yep.
Really appreciate you jumping in again with me on a Saturday. Me and you so far. Hopefully, we're both here next week. If that's the plan.
They haven't canceled us yet, so they keep telling us to come back. So y'all keep asking for us. So ddfantasyfootball.com. Go drop your questions in the Saturday night mailbag, or hit us up on X at Shane Says, at BG-C, at DD Fantasy Football, or just drop them in the YouTube comments, and who knows, maybe Shane will pick them up.
Yeah, probably. All right. Appreciate y'all. Everyone have a great night.